Hey, welcome to Transform Today with me, Paula. Wow, so today's guest is someone who will challenge the way you think about spirituality, awakening, and consciousness. It's the wonderful Tim Freke. He's a philosopher, spiritual teacher, and best-selling author who spent more than 4 decades exploring life's biggest questions. After a profound spiritual awakening at the tender age of 12 years old, he's gone on to write 35 books translated around the world. But here is what I absolutely love about Tim. He will happily tell you he no longer agrees with everything he wrote in the first 34. And wow, isn't that refreshing? In a world where so many people feel the need to defend their opinions, Tim reminds us that wisdom isn't about being right. It's about having the humility to keep growing, to keep questioning, and to keep evolving. When I interviewed Tim, I just returned from Delphi in Greece, where the ancient inscription, Know Thyself, has inspired seekers for thousands of years. So our conversation wandered through ancient wisdom, awakening, the Christian mystics, the big love, divine feminine, and so much more. Whether you're deeply spiritual, simply curious, or somewhere in between, I think you'll find yourself reflecting long after this conversation ends. So make yourself comfortable, open your heart, and enjoy our conversation with the wonderful Tim. Hey Tim, I'm so happy to have you here. It's amazing. And I think I told you before that I've just traveled from Athens to Achaeus, and I'm, on this little journey. And in Athens, I went to the Temple of Apollo and to Delphi. And it really reminded me of you because we were going to talk actually. So there's the three inscriptions that are really known, which are Know Thyself, Nothing in Excess, and Surety Brings Ruin. And I think, what I've loved about listening to you and your work is, not that you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater at all of your 34 or 35 books, but 34 of them, you're saying, actually, I've got enough humility to say maybe some of the concepts that I was sharing in those, I don't really believe for today. And I just wondered what's that taught you about certainty, humility, and the spiritual journey, just for a quick, easy startup question.
Well, that kind of the two you mentioned there immediately, the know yourself, gnothisiton in the Greek, and that is like that ability to reflect is absolutely central to me, and it's because of the reflection of looking, because you can reflect in many ways. You can reflect at one's bad habits, it's like all of
Yeah.
that, which one needs to do. And then you can also reflect on how am I understanding this? How am I understanding being Tim in relationship with the world? And then in my case, because I've also been teaching and writing, it's like, how am I sharing this? And I've, what's happened, as you said, is about 13 years ago, after the death of my parents, I began to feel like there was something not right, and that I'd embraced a kind of a traditional, essentially, what I tried to do was take the traditional, what's often called the perennial philosophy, the philosophy you kind of think, oh, it exists in all these traditions, they're all kind of saying the same. And I've been trying to articulate that clearer and clearer and clearer. And
Yeah.
then what had happened, I think, is I got pretty good at it, and I started to see what was wrong with it. And when things evolve, it always comes through that, through going, oh, hang on, that's not right. And you asked how that affect me with humility. I mean, I would say this last period of my life has been a crash course in humility.
Yeah.
Um, I was thinking just the other day, Paula, these strange things in your life that you think, why did I do that? When I was 22, I guess,
Yeah.
23 maybe, I was at university studying philosophy, and I was very influenced by and loved the poetry of T.S. Eliot. And I took a line from the Four Quartets and I wrote it on this big sheet of paper in
Yeah.
huge writing above my bed. It was just a bed sit. It was just me in this bed
Yeah.
sit. And I thought, what a strange thing to do. And on it, I wrote the line, it's so many beautiful lines that he's written.
Yeah.
And the line I chose was the line that said, the only wisdom we can hope to acquire is the wisdom of humility.
Oh,
Humility is
wow.
Humility is endless, is the line. And
Well,
here I
that's
am now,
beautiful. Yeah, you've got Jim Carrey putting a
67.
check for 10 million above his bed
Yeah, yeah,
when
yeah,
he's in his 20s. And
yeah.
we've got, you like really pondering and reflecting upon humility,
And he has got
wisdom.
millions of pounds, and I've got a bit of humility. And one has to stop and think which was the better thing to do. But yeah, I think that's right. And here I am, 67, and it's like, yeah, I've had to go. And obviously, in terms of my work in the world,
Yeah,
it's like shooting yourself in the foot, because all of that. And not just that, Paula. There's also a sense that I kind of had an idea that as I got older and eventually would die, that I would leave this some
mm,
work that I'd done, and I still
sure.
hope that will be true. But to actually go, oh, but I think that's misleading. So when people buy my old books, I'm always touched, because they're
Yeah,
still good books. They really are. But I
sure.
also want to go, yeah, but there's a few important things in there which they're not quite right. And it's funny.
But we're always evolving. It's an organic process, isn't it? So I feel that it's absolutely beautiful that you have said that. And it's also beautiful that people will buy your books, because we are on an evolving journey of consciousness. Or, sometimes I like to think about it as you know, remembering the truth of who we are whilst emptying out what's not so true about us. Now, I mean very much that know thyself is know Tim, the historian, Tim, the music maker, Tim, the father, Tim, everything else, because I feel the fully human and the fully divine bit, need to both be present. I don't want to sort of be out there searching for awakening when everything happens in the land of the body. And I think, you're saying that, let's be more embodied. Is that right?
I do like being embodied, and I think our humanity is important. I mean, actually, we've dived straight in, because what you just said is what I came to realize wasn't right.
Okay, thank you.
So,
No, that's good. No, I like it, Tim. Come tell,
so
come tell.
you said, you can find what you really are and get rid of the stuff which you're not, and that's very much what
I
is the
meant
truth.
integrate it, I think, into as wholeness,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then to
yeah,
all
yeah, yeah,
becoming
yeah.
one.
No, no,
Yeah,
no. I
yeah,
hear that. I hear that, and that's a very important and subtle distinction. So I'd never been a reject your humanity
no.
guy, and ever. I'd always wanted to integrate it, but I'd definitely had this very common and completely understandable idea that there's something I really am, and then there's
Yeah,
Tim, or this other
yes,
thing, or my
yeah,
ego, or something else. And I'm not convinced that's right, Paula. I don't think there's something else that I really am. I don't think there's a divine thing that I am. My sense now is quite
mm,
different. My sense is that I am an evolving human being. I'm a psychobiological body and soul system
mm,
which is evolving,
yeah,
and the things which I'm getting rid of are the when I come to know myself, are those patterns that don't serve me, and what I'm coming into is not what I already am, it's what I can become. So that the
yeah,
universe it's a much more positive view, actually. It's not like get
sure,
back to what you already are, but the ancient tradition is that it's that you're really the Atman, you're really a soul, you're really God, and you've got
yeah,
lost in this illusion, and you need to get rid of the things, all the confusion, and then you'll be back to where you were. You'll get back to home. You'll be back where you were, and that's
mm,
the common idea. And I
yeah.
don't think it's right.
No, and I agree with you. I guess I think about it as a path of receiving and growing and understanding because of that embodiment. So because I do think you can bypass when you look at the older traditions, not that there isn't obviously a central beauty in all of them, And, like in Buddhism, where we have the emptying out, we're coming into the void. I believe that the potential is there, and a lot of the potential is in the not knowing, because we're growing into it, so we're
Yes.
evolving into it. So that power of presence is, for me, the golden nugget that takes me to a place that feels like home, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yes, I think, funnily enough, just before I talked to you, I was just writing about this. I think it's exactly right that the ability. I wrote a book called The Mystery Experience, and it's still a great book, and that
Yeah.
idea is central to me. Nearly every time I do a presentation, I start with, "What the hell is this? What is it we're in?" And appreciating that mystery.
Mm.
And anyone listening, do it with me now. It's just that openness
Yeah.
is the foundation. It's not the end, though. It's the start.
Yeah.
It's where it opens up new possibilities. And then within that, like, how are you going to experience this? How are you going to understand what this is? Because you will have to, because you
Yeah,
will have
of
to do
course.
something today, and you'll need a story, and you'll need ideas. So how can you find the best to really get what this incredible mystery is we're in? But why I think you've nailed it, and you call it, the nugget, do you think you called it? It's like,
Yeah.
that is that appreciation of that openness to possibility is
Yeah.
what allows us to evolve. And the point that I want to make in my new work is not to return,
Yeah.
but to move forward. That the whole of the universe is one process of evolutionary forming, in which it's becoming more and more and more, and we are part of that. So an illusion we've fallen into, which is
Yeah.
the Eastern tradition. It's actually something we're waking up within, and and through us, nature is reaching new heights, new levels.
Yeah, I love that. And it's as you were saying it, I was thinking of falling in love, that the fall into, and what does that open up, in that
Mm,
honeymoon period, and
mm,
that
mm.
beauty. And so, of course, when we've in days of old had the bliss experiences, and we can still have this beauty, that beauty is there. But one of the things I noticed, and I don't know whether you, the third one was surety brings ruin.
I wanted to come back to that one because
Yeah, yeah, because
that's my favorite.
yeah, it's my favorite, because of course that means that we can be flexible, we can let go. It's an invitation to not be rigid, because a lot of people have done things in, been taught things in school even. We
Mm.
have the race mind, we have the psychology, we have so many things happening, and societal conditions, that it's, sorry, excuse me, I've just got people walking around, so I'm
Yeah,
just
that's
giving
fine.
them a wave too. I think this lady didn't know. So yeah, I'm just sort of thinking that we have all of that conditioning that's been brought into our life, and to let that go, that emptying out period, like, I'm a little bit embarrassed at times at how strong my mind is, when I'm looking at things and trying to unravel. But I really believe that. And oh, that's not true. Oh, that's not true. That's not the truth of who I am. I find myself, it's part of my personality. But the big Paula, the sort of the bigger essence, how can I say this? Is to be like a channel for peace, like Francis of Assisi. This lovely body can become a vessel of expansion, a vessel of beauty, and experience creation through creating. Because I think that's the big thing. We're all here uniquely to create. Do you hear what I'm saying? Sorry, I
Yes,
went
I
off
do.
track a little bit there.
No,
With...
it's lots of tracks, lots of interesting tracks.
Okay.
Okay, so there was two things there. One was where you ended up, which was the idea of each of us creating. Let's
Yeah,
come back to that. And then the other was about the certainty.
yeah,
It reminds me of a line. I think it was uh, um, uh, Usanov, the playwright, and I'm forgetting his name. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
The line is, certainty divides us, doubt unites us.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's a beautiful line, isn't it? That's why I wanted to share it.
Yeah,
And what that's pointing to is the same thing we've been talking about about mystery, which is that you have an openness, and it's really interesting because I share a lot of controversial ideas, and I see the difference between those that go, huh, really? Hmm. Let me reflect on that. And those
Yeah.
that just go, no, that's not right. My experience is this. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. Because one is that, oh, let's have a look.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right, maybe you're not, but maybe you are. And that kind of exploration. And the other is that wall of no. And that wall is where we become trapped in our conditioning. Now, I would like to agree with you, but I want personally to say it in a slightly different way, and
Okay.
for a reason.
Yeah.
I I I think we create problems, not necessarily individually, but collectively, when we talk about in how we talk about the mind in spirituality.
Yeah.
Because when you're reflecting, when you're open, that's the mind. It's like, you're actually, so it's the mind is not just this negative thing which shows up as old patterns.
Yeah.
So what I think is happening with the mind is that we're conscious of our processing. And we do, so we're conscious, we're constantly processing. You're an incredible amount of information all the
Yeah.
time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When we reflect and when we imagine talking to ourselves, which is what we do, we call it
Mm.
thinking. When
Yeah.
we imagine talking to ourselves, we are conscious of how we're processing sometimes.
Sure.
So that and so we can see. So part of our processing could be, oh, you can't do that, or some negative thing which is part of our and you see it.
Yeah.
Oh, and you say it to yourself because now you can see how you're processing. So now your processing can come in and go, maybe that's right, maybe that's not right, maybe I can do it.
Yeah.
And so all we're seeing is our processing. It's not a good thing, it's not a bad thing. It's simply our processing and our ability. So I want to speak up for the mind and go, look, it's hugely important that we can do that,
Yeah.
and that enables us then to evolve.
And
And
isn't consciousness always evolving, or that's what's happening to us
yes,
individually? And one of the things I'd say to add to that is one of the biggest practices is having your consciousness actually, your mind consciousness, maybe agree with your heart consciousness, your agree with for the evolution, you're letting also what doesn't support you go. The rigid thinking, the surety brings ruin. And it's, like I like to look at that as sort of laying down with, your fears, cuddling up to them as much as you do your light and your joy. Can you be with both aspects of your personality? Can you be with the fear and the light? And can you love them both as much to have that wonderful integration and the growth to receive expansion, to be able to breathe into, oh, there's actually more. And even if I don't know what that is, I can become a receiver of this wonderful knowledge. Whether it's a download from the cloud, it doesn't really matter. It's joy or aliveness or an expression of being that comes back to embodiment, really.
yeah, I think I
Can I
would.
just say one more thing just
Yeah, of
before you
course,
answer
of
that?
course. Yeah.
Because sometimes I think with the mind, it can get us stuck on the wound and not the wisdom. So that I'm not saying that I don't love the mind, but I am
So what
saying
I'm
that
trying
we have to direct it.
so what I'm trying to say there, Paula, is exactly that. Is going, look, when you say the mind there, it's just simply your processing or my processing. And
Yeah,
my processing is dominated by my history.
yeah,
Of course it is. And that includes all my conditioning
yeah,
that has happened since I was born.
yeah,
And my ability to reflect on that processing
yeah,
is a higher level of processing, which
yeah,
allows me to change it. That's it.
yeah,
And it's like that's a processing is absolutely necessary. I'm
absolutely.
limited by everything I've learnt, good and bad. Wanting to suggest it's quite simple. We as a system
Yeah,
are processing ourselves and the universe.
yeah,
The way we process it is a whole load of stuff which is biological, our instinctual processing, and then we have a lot of ideational processing, are the ideas that we've picked up. We've
sure.
picked those up in school and society and all the rest of it. Most of that is pretty useful. some of it holds us back. If we're going to evolve, we need to be able to make it conscious, to know ourselves. And we do that through
Yes.
reflection. So all of that reflection is what the mind can do. Now, if we're not reflecting, we just keep going. And then the mind can play a negative role. It seems
Yeah.
like it, but it's just our processing. It's all it is. And that as we improve our processing, that's where we change state, because state is how we process.
Sure.
So we change the state of the psyche or soul, and then suddenly you're somewhere else. And one of the things which is around awakening, which is where most of my focus is, and what you were describing earlier,
Yeah.
is when there's a jump in how you process, and suddenly you're connected with something greater than yourself, and you feel like, oh, now I'm at my best. And I
Yeah.
think what's happened historically, Paula, is that human beings have experienced that in different ways. And then it feels so good. There's a sense of, oh, that's really me. That's really home. That's where I should be. And I've fallen from it. And what I'm suggesting is that we need to take spirituality and turn it the other way up and go, no, we haven't fallen from it. We're evolving into it. And the reason I can say that, and all of these great men and women before me
Yeah.
couldn't say that, is because they lacked an idea which I have, which we've only had for 100 years. And that
Yeah.
idea is that the universe is a process, and it's a
Okay.
process of evolution. And we now know that. And they
Yeah.
didn't know that. So
Yeah.
they naturally saw it as a fall because they didn't have that idea. But we do have that. We know this
Yeah.
whole thing we're in is a process of evolution. So now we can go, oh, hang on, is it? Or are we evolving onto more? Are we evolving our processing onto greater and greater levels?
And I think, that speaks to religion as well as spirituality, because the fall from grace, it's weaved in. But of course, it was weaved in as well as a way to keep people in a herd, to keep people in line, if you like. So we have that coming through. I mean, I love to think about Christ consciousness, or, the seed atom, all of these things, because I was brought up Catholic. So, and then I moved into liking what the Christian mystics have to say. And, they're all about the embodiment. I remember being 9 and being in a Sunday school situation, a church situation where we heard God is love. And it was like, oh, does that mean we're love? And that was like a revelation. So if we're love, and love is to feel, the feeling of love is good, and we're part of this one God, we're someone because we're part of the one, my teacher used to say to me, so it's recognizing that you're in this expanding field. And I think that was the first time I felt this expanse of love. And it was in my heart. It wasn't in my head. It was this warmth and this like, oh, are we all love? That's exciting, And that just for a little child, that's something that is, oh, we're not, the arguments or the other things that are happening. We're connected. There's a connection here. So I'm not reaching out for this love or this God. I am part of it. It's in me. And I guess my job is to flower into that. Obviously, I didn't think that at the age of 9. I just accepted what was going on. But now I see that's my job, to naturally flower and evolve into that. And where I don't consistently do that is because, I have all of these thoughts that maybe are not, are in defiance of that. Well, that's not true. I don't believe that. And then it's that integration, the harmonization of, oh, okay, Paula. So you've still got all of that old stuff that's in the way of you evolving, and in the way of this limitless, boundless energy that we can be in. What do you think of that?
I think I essentially agree with you that we're growing into something greater,
Yeah.
which you could call divine. And
Yeah.
I had my big love experiences when I was 12. It completely blew me away, and it set the seed for the whole of my life, which
Yeah.
was okay, yeah, there's something greater than me, and it's extraordinarily loving, and I'm transformed when I'm in it. And what I teach and all the experiential events that I run is
Mm.
about taking people directly to that big love, and I've seen literally thousands of people have that experience now, and
It's beautiful.
everyone who has it is blown away.
And it's
So
the big love. I call it the big love.
do you? Okay,
Yes.
great. That's been the thing that I've, that was the phrase that I started, playing with whenever it was 30 years ago.
Mm.
And I love it. I love it because it's very big, isn't it? That's a perfect
Yeah.
name for it. I mean, it's,
And that's
like,
so grounded way to say it.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
it's just honest and it's
yeah,
grounded.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
that it's somewhere unattainable.
But I just want to point out to you, Paula, and I
Yeah,
hope you don't mind, but it's what I
of
do.
course I
So,
don't. I love it.
is what you did, I so much relate to this, was and was you played off this idea of the head and the heart again. It was like, well, it wasn't in my head, it was in my heart. Well, all your feelings are here. You don't have a
Mm,
feeling here, because the
that's right.
feelings are the way the heart moves and the guts move and
Yeah,
the chemicals move. Of course, your feelings are here.
yeah,
This is a different thing. I mean, actually, I don't think your processing is just in your head. I think it's actually in the psyche itself, which is not the head.
yeah.
But
Mm.
what we there's a pattern which has been set up in spirituality that I think we need to shift, and it's that one
Oh, I
of
agree.
this kind of head versus heart thing. I
Yeah,
think
no,
it's
I
it's
definitely,
we just need to. It's all part of one thing, one process, and it can take us forward. And it's got two elements. It's like with ideas, experience doesn't just come of itself.
of
There's this kind of
course.
naive idea I see. Well, you say, of course, but I don't. Most people, I think, have have a view that somehow experience is just given to you. It's direct. Whereas I think what we've understood really since the 60s, 50s, and
Mm,
60s is that we are categorizing everything on the physical level. It's like it looks like I'm just taking in the world, but I'm not. I'm taking in information about light, and then I'm going computer, Paula, screen, lights, outside, inside,
yeah,
millions and millions of categories, which is giving me actually my experience. And all of my experience is the meeting of me and how I discriminate, how I discern, and the world. And that's for something as basic as this. So
absolutely.
so
Yeah,
how we ideate, what categories we use, actually creates our experience as well. It's not just the world is also involved, but it's we are involved with our and so with ideas.
okay, I love this. Like, I need to speak because I hear exactly what you're saying, that we're creating a separation. And of course, it was only because of the grace I could receive those thoughts that the feeling was allowed to emerge. My thoughts became before the feeling of that in my heart. But you're right, as a language, we do separate,
I'm
you
not saying we
know?
separate.
Okay,
I'm not saying
okay.
that.
Okay,
I'm
thank
not
you.
saying that. I'm saying it is, we are a relationship with the
Yeah.
universe. Tim exists in relationship with the universe. He's never on his own. And everything that Tim experiences is that relationship. And that relationship depends on two things. One is how the universe is, and
Yeah.
the other is how Tim discerns how the universe is, the
Okay.
categories. Like I can see certain frequencies of light, but I can't see like an eagle. I can hear certain frequencies of sound, I can't hear like a dog. And then not only on the neurological level, but also on the ideational level, how I ideate it. And what
Yeah.
we're discussing in this whole conversation is the different ways you could ideate it. And you're going, I ideate it like this. And then
Yeah.
and I end up experiencing this. And I'm going, interesting. It's kind of the same. Ideate it like this. And that's why I think that I've changed. And so that what you see then is that you can do two things with ideas. You can see through them or you can look at them. And one is experience and
Yeah.
one is reflection. And they're both different. And what happens is what we call the heart is when we use it to see through an idea. You've just shared these beautiful ideas. There's something greater than, there's a love and those are all ideas. And through that you can go, yeah, and then you feel something in response
Yeah.
to it. And what you feel in response is spacious and love. And it's like, oh, those ideas took me to this. I looked through them. So that's when we use ideas to experience. And that's really that's it. That's beautiful. But also you can reflect. And when you reflect, you're not looking at the universe, you're looking at the ideas. And
Yeah.
then we can go, so you've got this idea of whatever it is, maybe
Yeah.
God, for instance. What is that idea? Does it hold up? How can we understand what that means? God is love. what does that mean, God is love? Now we're looking at the idea. That's when people say, oh, you're in your head. And you
Yeah.
are. You're in a different state. You're now reflecting,
Yeah.
but equally essential. Because if you don't do that, you're caught in certainty because you've just got your experience. I experienced this.
Absolutely.
You can't
Yeah.
reflect on it and go, yeah, but there might be a different way to experience.
And that's the curiosity and the
So
beginner mind. Yeah.
those two go together. So if you want to use the images, and a head and heart is just an image. That's all it is. It's
Yeah.
not really in your head or your heart. It's about whether you're using ideas to experience, to look through, and then looking at the idea, which is reflecting it. The looking at the idea is the know yourself. Is
Yeah.
where you're going, how am I doing this? And it's harder, which is
Yeah.
why people don't like it. It's much easier just to go, there's God and God is love. And you go, yeah, than it is to go, does that make sense? What does that word God mean there?
Yeah.
Does that work? I think it does, but maybe not. And so those two need to go together if we're going to move spirituality forward.
And I think in the receivership of, because God's obviously had a bad press in many ways.
He needs to get new PR.
Yeah, I was going to say he needs a new publicist, or she does. It's all like, come on.
She does.
Yeah, let's find out the one Kale got, and we're all laughing. But it's this idea, like clearly for you and I, it would seem that we're very happy with that God and love and speaking in that way. And that sort of, for me, that I was just like naturally did the infinity sign there. There is a giving and a receiving and a balance in that, which I think would go to our second part, the sort of nothing in excess, including your thoughts, so it's, that's quite beautiful in itself. But I'd love you to speak to love as our essence. I don't know whether, that
I'd love
moves
to.
you. Thank you.
I don't think love is our essence. How about that?
I just love you. So basically, you're just going to go, hey, Paula, wait a minute.
I think that's what you'll find in all my books,
Yeah.
but not now.
Okay, gorgeous. Come on then, tell me, evolve me.
I think what we experience as God.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll come back to the essence, but first let's start with God. What we experience, you've experienced it, I've experienced it. If you experience it, anyone listening, it's real, it's sublime, and it's love. It's huge benevolence. I don't think that is the source and therefore the essence of things. I think it's actually what the universe is flowering into.
Beautiful.
I think the Buddhists and the Taoists have got it right more.
With the emptiness.
Which is, it starts with emptiness.
Yeah, I
and
get
then
it.
That is forming into things. So you go back to the beginnings of the universe, what we study with physics, there's no love, it's not warm. You study it with maths, it's empty, it's cold. But when life evolves, it starts warming up. When advanced life evolves, you get love in a limited form. And
I'm a bit gushy.
More, and then more. And then what's happening is that right at the leading edge, that love is now huge.
Yeah.
And that's the leading edge. So when you touch that, and that's when Paula goes, I become a channel for something. Yeah, absolutely you do. Yeah. Because you're touching the very leading edge of 14 billion years of evolution. And it's this super mind that is arising.
And I think women, on that, or for me, I'll speak for myself. I go straight to the love. Of course, I believe we're coming from emptiness, and I do have that as a belief. But it's like, follow your joy, because why not? Often we follow our worry. And the follow the joy bit is just a bit more gorgeous. It's just a bit more light.
It's that leading edge again. You're attaching yourself to the thing which is right at the edge, as far as we know, of this whole process. And then it's not like you become. So then, love isn't your essence. It's not like you're already that. It's like love is your most emergent self. It's you at your best. It's the most you can be. And you touch that and you feel like, wow, this is me on this is, I like this Tim. He's more than that other Tim. Like, I want to evolve into this Tim more of the time.
Yeah, let's hang out with Paula in union, not Paula who's fractured.
I love that. That's a beautiful way of saying it. That's exactly, I really relate to that. And what I love about all of this again is it's very positive. It's not going, oh, I had an essence that was love and then it all messed up and I'm now Tim and I need to get back.
Yeah.
It goes, no, I'm an evolving process. We've evolved from something more basic. All of humanity has, including Tim. And I'm reaching up and I'm feeling the pull now because it's there into something greater. And then can I share this big idea with you? Because
Oh, I'd love you to. Come on, big ideas. I love big ideas.
This is my
jazz
intuition.
hands are out.
Yeah, my God, jazz hands are all right. Yeah, exactly. This is my. I'll just say it, and it's an intuition or whatever you want to call that, and I've fallen in love with it, and
Okay.
I'll share it with you just in case you do as well.
Thank you.
Here's what I think is happening. At some point in the evolution of biology, single cells got it together to form multicellular organisms, a communion of cells. There's all these cells. Yeah. And what's interesting about that is that that functions because all the cells are doing their own thing. They're different. They're individual.
Yeah.
If they were all the same, I'd be a big pile of like a slime mold. You wouldn't be having a conversation with me. But they're all doing something different in communion with each other. And you've got a superorganism. I think the same thing is happening on the level of soul or psyche.
Yeah.
And that psyches or souls, which have evolved as individuals, are coming together through these deep awake experiences of communion or union. And the ones that are experiencing that are beginning to form a super soul, like a superorganism on the level of soul.
Okay.
And that's what, when you go and I come up and I'm a channel, that's what you're experiencing. You're experiencing coming into communion with that super intelligence or the super soul, which is God. And therefore we are creating God. And here's the bit I love. What you contribute to that is your individuality, is your life. The fact that you are you and not me is what makes it a value that you can contribute to this greater thing. So that your life has this huge significance of contributing to the emergence of what we've traditionally called God. And and rather than the goal being to dissolve back into the source, it's the opposite.
Absolutely.
It's not to dissolve. It's to be you keeping evolving and now harnessing or communing your individuality into this greater union.
Absolutely. I totally love that. And the idea that we are unique, that we're not, we are the wave, we're allowed to be the wave and bring in the beauty of what our light is meant to shine, the gifts and the expression of the oneness, the God, whatever we want to call it. I totally agree with you that it's also really fab to be human and live. I mean, I am sure creation didn't want us all on a hamster wheel stressing and having 2 weeks off a year to talk about that stress. And without being, I don't want to see, diffuse that. But that happens, doesn't it? People are experiencing suffering. And yes, of course, we will experience suffering, but it's nice to have a truth and nearly said essence again. Gotta forgive me with my language, but an essence that trusts in a higher power, in a greater evolving being that you can be too. So even if I can start wherever I am in the present moment, I can go, right, Paula, let me be, let Paula be the channel today and move into that divine nature and see what it's got to say to me. Maybe it's going to say start a podcast, which it did. Maybe it's going to say leave your spiritual community after 23 years, which it did. And these are all hard things to do for a personality of Paula. For me, it's like, oh, well, what will happen? What will people say? But if you just listen to the whisper goes, it'll all be good. Take that one step. And everything does come to you. There is a light and when I say light, I mean a clarity, an understanding that unfolds from that, where because you're being your truer self, your truer nature is allowed expression through this temporary version of your soul.
I completely. That's what's happened to me, Paula. Same. It's like, I'm going along. I'm a relatively successful author. I've had my international bestseller. I've got a bit of a profile. I'm invited to all these conferences, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, ooh, come over here. There's a whole new vision to explore.
I
Really?
love it.
It's like, but then, yeah. And so my current work,
Mm,
it hinges around the idea of, well, the phrase I have is unividuals, a new way
mm,
of being human, where a unividual is an
mm.
individual who's experiencing this unity, this communion
Yeah.
with this universal benevolence. And I think that's where we're going as individuals and as a collective. I don't know how long it'll take, but I do think there's rational, plausible reasons to think that's where we're heading.
And do you
And so
think,
that
oh, so I was just going to say,
that's all right.
but people like, Julian of Norwich, Messer
Mhm.
Eckhart, people, this embodiment, this union, I feel like they were talking about that. That's what they were
Definitely.
talking about, and Francis of Assisi, I went to Assisi for 3 months just because I can at the moment and I looked at, the poverty and and basically the inner wealth
Yeah.
because the stigmatas, the being in filth, the living in a little hut, and yet still writing his best works in those conditions in communion with the divine, was it's so jaw-droppingly wonderful.
These people were the leading edge.
Yeah,
And we can see what we see because we come after them.
yeah,
But they were also people of their own time.
yeah, thank you. Yeah.
And I think of Rumi. Everyone loves Rumi
Oh,
these
I
days.
love Rumi.
But actually, people love Coleman Barks
Yeah.
because Coleman Barks has turned Rumi into a modern American poet. Because Coleman is a
Okay.
modern American poet. I did a book on Rumi also, and I turned him into a modern British poet because
Okay.
I'm a
I'll
modern.
have to read that.
So it's lovely. Yeah, it's good. I mean, I'm very much coming in the wake of Coleman, who's the real genius. But what was interesting about studying the Mathnawi, which is this huge body of work by Rumi,
Yeah.
is that some of it is these wonderful one-liners you can just cut out and go, oh, yes, and these little lines and which is what Coleman's done, and then what I did, because that's what we want. That inspires us. But
Yeah.
huge areas of it is a medieval cleric. It's someone of
Okay.
his time. We just don't repeat that because
Yeah.
what's the point of that?
Yeah.
But that's who Jalaluddin Rumi was. He was
Yeah.
a person of his time, just like you and me, or of our time, who was touching this emerging super soul, I think, and was able to go, there's something amazing here, and was guiding people to it with the ideas he had. And you and I can only have a conversation with the ideas we have.
Absolutely.
We can't do that. We can't know how the future will see it. So,
Yeah.
and then the language changes. Like you were going, hang on, I just used the word essence again, and it's fine, of course. But
You don't want semantics to get in the
when
way.
we develop a new language, and my attempt is to talk about a more emergent Tim, or a more evolved, and it's like then we develop it, and then suddenly, in the very way we're talking and understanding, we've got this affirming idea of this becoming,
Yeah.
that existence is this becoming, leading right now to this enormous super being which we
Yeah.
can commune with.
Which is gorgeous. So there's two things that are coming to my mind there that would be really nice if you could help me, help our audience. As we talked of Rumi, I was thinking about you can't fit the universe into a teacup, and this idea that, everybody talks about being a spiritual being in a human body, which I've begun to think speaks to separation. Because if there's one movement, if there's oneness, and if it's a spiritual universe and I'm one whole being, as part of that, someone, because I'm part of the one, and I can receive that if I can own that identity, because I think identity is quite important these days. Where do I align myself to? It would be sort of really lovely if you could sort of, not sort of, but very clearly, because that's what you do very well. You don't sort of let us know. You give
you
us some
sweetie.
clarity. You
Yeah,
give us
yeah,
some
yeah.
clarity. If you could give a bit more clarity on that. because the sort of, you don't fit the universe into a teacup, i.e. the universe can't fit into this vessel of Paula, this body, but the body of Paula can lean into the universe, is what I seem to come to all the time. Whenever I'm in this separation state, I always lean back into that energy that is always flowing in that oneness, that is flowing, and take succor from it, take respite from it, so then I can come back into the world and be, okay, I'm breathing, I can be union in this lifetime, in my daily washing the dishes, in my chopping wood and carrying water. And I just think that that's really where we want it to be. And that's
Yes.
really, what I'm...
Okay, so there's a few things I think you were covering there, Paula, all of them interesting again. Let me see if I've got them. So maybe I have, maybe I haven't. Let me come in with this. What is this? What the hell is it? The best description I can find is it's a process of becoming, because that's what I experience all the time. It's something becoming something else. Oh, and now it's something else. Oh, and now it's something else. And we now know that process of becoming in our universe has been going on, we currently think, about 14 billion years.
Yeah.
And it's gone from the simplest things you can possibly imagine to this, and that's amazing. That the simplest of the beginnings, the first thing that came in the physical universe was the gas hydrogen. That's the simplest element.
Yeah.
That gas has evolved into you and me having this conversation.
It's incredible.
Yes. It is incredible. Human beings evolved from fish. I mean, the whole thing is like, what?
Yeah.
So what? So I think it is a spiritual universe now.
Okay.
Because that is the latest thing to evolve. The word spiritual started getting used in the English language about 1300 to refer to the non-material. Yeah. So you've got the material universe and the non-material universe, and you're experiencing that, as is everyone listening to this right now. You're experiencing a physical, biophysical world, and then the psyche, or the psyche is just the Greek, or you're in Greece, it's the Greek word for soul, psyche. It's the Greek word for soul. That's a Germanic word, and it's describing the non-material, and you're in the non-material. You dream in it, you think in it, you experience psychedelics in it, you meditate in it. It's like, it's huge. It's the spirit realm. It's the spiritual level. That's the soul. That's the latest level to have evolved. The first level is probably mathematical. Then we have physics. Then we have biology. And then we have psyche or soul. Now the world is spiritual. It has become, it's flowered into being spiritual.
Yeah.
And so when we touch that, we rise up from our purely biophysical level to the spiritual level. And we go, oh. And a spiritual experience, it seems to me, in its simple form, is when somebody goes at some point in their life, hang on, there's more going on here than my socio-biological existence.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, but there's more. And there's a whole spiritual domain now. And you can touch that, and you're in it already. You just need to pay attention. And then, wow, things take off in a whole new direction. And you can come to commune in this loving presence, which is greater than you. And not only can be conscious of it, you can come into it and commune with it and be one with it. And it just blow your mind. Beautiful. Just takes you to another level, because it's at the leading level of this 14 billion year process of becoming. And then your identity, that was the other thing you brought up. Then what's your identity? Well, what I notice about this process of becoming is that this moment contains within it implicitly everything that's ever happened, that the past hasn't gone anywhere, that the time isn't passing, it's accumulating. There's more and more and more of it. And without that past, this would not be this moment. So without your invitation, this would not be happening. Without you getting born, this would not be happening. Without your parents getting born, this would not be happening. Without the arising of human beings, this would not be. Oh, I'm back, and life, and the first cell, and right back to.
Love
it's
it.
all present. All of it.
Love
because
it.
if it wasn't present, so the identity of everything, because everything is the part of the process of becoming, the identity of everything is its past. So who's Paula? Well, Paula is everything she's ever been. That's what I'm meeting right now. Everything Paula's ever been in her relationship with the universe, that's your identity. That's what you are.
And you can see saying the universe has got your back. It literally has. And while
Yeah.
you would, it's incredible. I really love that. And the other thing that was coming up for me as you were saying that was this piece around, quantum mechanics, that everyone's talking about the quantum field being the field of presence, being where everything is, all the information, where it's all happened, and the future as well. And
I
there's a
don't
lot.
I don't think any of that's true, Paula.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, cool. Well, tell
I
me
know
what
it's
you. Yeah,
I
go
know
on.
it's a modern
Yeah.
fad in spirituality, but I think it's completely mistaken.
Okay.
So I think there's a lot of information. Whether that's I don't think it's particularly in a quantum field, but
Yeah.
the quantum level looks to me like a very very early thing that's formed. The thing about quantum waves is they're informational, they're mathematical entities. So
Yeah.
there's a so that the first level of the universe looks like it's something we study with maths, and that becomes what we study with physics from the transition from a quantum wave into a
Yeah.
particle. And that's what quantum physics is studying. Now, that says nothing about consciousness. Consciousness is not going to evolve for billions of years until we
Yeah.
get to life. When there's
Okay.
life, then consciousness will come. So that there's a kind of a ironically for me, because again, you will find the thing you just said in my books,
Right.
and
Okay.
I'm having to go, yeah, no, that wasn't right either, and because I don't, I think it's a confusion of what quantum physics is actually saying, as if
Yeah.
it's kind of endorsing something it's really not, and that whilst there's lots of quantum physicists, so they say different things, the vast
Yeah.
majority do not think that.
Yeah, I
It's
get
just
that. Yeah.
not it's a people like me put it in their books because it seems to endorse spirituality, and
And I do that too.
it's a misservice because
Yeah.
actually it doesn't, and we don't need
Okay.
it to. It's
Okay.
better if we can go, look, there's a level we understand with maths which goes right back to like yin and yang, two-ness,
Yeah.
the one as two. That's what we're studying at the very root of things. The emptiness is arising as one as two. It's like very basic, but that's Lao Tzu, that's the Kabbalah, it's
Yeah.
ancient Pythagoras. That's going to become this level of probabilities we study with quantum physics. That will become the particularness of mass, of particles, of physics, of
Mm.
chemistry. And then
Yeah.
from that, there's going to come life. And life is going to learn to process light and sound and
Beautiful. Yeah.
pressure and heat. And you've got senses. And then when we focus on a sense, it becomes conscious. And that's what we're experiencing now. And then from that, we're going to
Yeah.
get conscious processing, which is psyche. And if you look at your psyche, it's a whole domain. It's non-material, but it's a
Yeah.
domain of images. Think of dreaming or any of your,
Mm.
it's all images. When you're imagining talking to yourself, or you imagine listening, or you imagine looking,
Mm.
everything in the psyche is images from our sensory perception, but now they exist in their own right. There's a whole domain of them. And that
Yeah.
seems to be what people experience after death. So that where then we
Absolutely.
can go,
Yeah.
oh, so now it looks like the psyche has evolved to survive death. And that is a radically, obviously different perspective on the nature of spirituality.
Being.
It's
Yeah.
not because it's already immortal and we've fallen in. It's because we've evolved to survive the death of the body. That's a big topic, but that would be
Yeah.
the kind of claim I'd want to make.
Yeah, and that's huge, isn't it? Because at the moment we have the birthless self. We talk about the self, and part of that self comes to
Yes,
experience the world, and
yes,
we
that's the
all
old
know that
idea.
story. Yeah.
That's
Whereas
my old story right there.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah, and the unification piece, the birth, because for me, I've always thought about it as consistently birthing. I think the mother element is really important in this as well. Yeah, didn't the Dalai Lama say Western women would change the world in around 2000? I think, yeah, like he did say that. I know that. And I wonder what you think about because of this birth, and then we've been under a sort of more masculine system where there's been a lot of driven outputs, it'd be quite nice for you to share with our audience what role you see intuition and receptivity and that connection and compassion, sort of leading us into the next stage of humanity, really, because I know that that's where you're talking, and I know the next question after that I'd like you to answer is, what is the new way of being human? So let's come with the mother, come
Well,
with the,
one of the
yeah.
things I love, I wrote a book on the Christian goddess Sophia. It's one of my best
Oh,
books,
beautiful.
and yeah, there was obviously a strong tradition of how the archetypal male and female interact with each other, and that's all become
Mm,
confused. But the the intuition for me is when we touch that most emergent level of our processing. It's so emergent, we process in a certain way, and we don't know how we've done it. And I don't know how I've done this. And you go,
yeah.
well, why do you think that? I don't know, but it just comes with such a feeling of certainty that I'm going to follow it. Or still needs reflecting on, still can be mistaken. One of the great naiveties that I've lost now is the idea that just because it's an intuition, it must be right. It's
Oh,
like, it's a
yeah.
revelation. It's like, no, the world is, that's a mistake. But it's the best I've got.
Yeah.
And that's why it matters. And I can reflect on it. It's like even someone like Albert Einstein, who is obviously a great scientist, was having those intuitions and he didn't know why, and he'd
Yeah.
follow them, and then he'd be able to go, no, it's right, or no, it's not. And that's what I think we do I try and do in my more humble way of just doing that. So that's what I think intuition is. And then what I love about this evolutionary picture that I've been trying to paint here is that when I was young and got into spirituality,
Yeah.
the idea was that, well, Tim, if you want to be an A-lister spiritual person, you'll become a monk like Francis of Assisi.
Yeah.
And I nearly became a Franciscan monk twice.
Okay.
I was also very influenced by the East, and later looked at doing all of that. But you certainly wouldn't get involved in the world. You needed to renounce. I was celibate for a little while, and not very long, but I did try. You don't have kids, you don't get involved in all of the pleasures of the world, all of that.
Yeah.
This turns all of that around and goes, that's all appropriate if you think you've got to get away from here. It's also appropriate if you think, I want to concentrate on something else. Good for you. Don't get me wrong, that's fine. People are doing that, brilliant. But what I love about this picture is it goes, our human loves are not in the way. They're not lesser. They're not like, well, really it's all about loving God. But if you've got to love another human being, or you have kids, it's like be a householder if you can't manage being the real thing.
Yeah.
What this does is it goes, no, your human loves are part of the evolution up into this big love.
Yeah.
They're not in the way of it. In fact, your humanity generally is not in the way. It's the foundation from which you reach up to this greater love.
Yeah.
So I would say, obviously as a man, that my experience of being a father, which I never intended, if I'm honest, was the most important spiritual moment in my life, or certainly one of them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because it was just, and that's something which I think women particularly carry less these days than they used to. But and I think coming back to really getting why that's so beautiful and important.
So gorgeous. When I had my twin boys, I had for 2 whole weeks, maybe even 16 days, just walking in that love.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. And it was
Yeah,
like, oh my
isn't it?
gosh. It was
Yeah.
like, the endorphin flow just wouldn't
Yeah.
stop. It was
Yeah.
so beautiful. Well, the inner pharmacy was definitely at work,
Yeah.
but I seen it as grace, actually. I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm having an endorphin flow. I was feeling like love's loving
Definitely.
through
And
me.
it
This is
is.
grace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because some people don't have that, which is a shame. But it's beautiful. And for me, it was the end of a very naive version of, I think, particularly of Indian spirituality, of escape.
Yeah.
Because my daughter, she was born just over there in the room, just over there in front of me, and 26 years ago, and
Oh,
she happened to, was in a pool and she happened to open her eyes for the first time and look into mine. And I thought, I'm in trouble.
I love
Because,
that.
if anything happens to this child, I'm going to be devastated.
Yeah,
And I'm willing to take that risk for love. So the idea of
beautiful.
escaping suffering, forget that.
You can't.
Love, there, the suffering is built into loving.
Absolutely.
It's just the love is bigger. So all of that is built in. It's like right there in front of us. And it would be great to see that more.
Yeah, and it's Corinthians, isn't it? Even to not just for your kids, but to yourself when you're growing. Love is patient, love is kind. The courage, all of the things that you are called upon to be in
Yeah.
the face of love. It's a radical. It's radical, really. It's courageous and it's brave as well as beautiful and gorgeous and all of those things. And I think, sort of the new way of being human, that could really lend itself to our magic wand question that I give everybody coming to the top of the hour of how, if, we could wave that wand and the infrastructure was in place, what would we give our future, the children coming up? My boys are nearly 26 too, so it's like, it's they seem to just be tuned in actually in a different way. But also the younger people, the kids, what advice would you give them?
Well, when I heard your question, I think I emailed you back and went, "Well, everything I'm doing is that really," and I
Great.
want and what I really want to offer from what I've done with my life is the vision, which is, look, there is more than your sociobiological life. Your
Yeah,
sociobiological life is already amazing, actually. If you could see it for
fabulous.
what it is, it's incredible. And there's more. And what's in spirituality, which if you look at it quickly, you might think, well, that's just mumbo jumbo. It's not. But we
Yeah,
need to understand it in a new way. And when you do, you can really start to appreciate what this is you're in and have these and come to life, have these deep awake experiences and touch this big love. And that
yeah,
what is happening, what can happen to us individually and what's happening collectively is this evolution from the individual into the unividual. And part of getting that is to look back through history and go, we've changed so much. The mere fact that I'm
yeah,
having this conversation with you, Paula, and you're a woman, it's like, you're in Greece. When Greece, which was at the leading edge of evolution with Socrates and all that, most women just had to stay indoors.
yeah,
Not all, but nearly all. And it's
yeah,
like we've changed so much. And in not everything's for better, of course, but a lot is. And
yeah,
and a lot of it's come through us individuating. You're not the same as me. We're not just like, well, we're both English, so we're the same. It's like, no, we're not.
yeah,
We're unique. The next level is we're unique, but we have universal benevolence and an evolutionary wisdom to try and bring that benevolence into the world. I think that's the next step for us. And I
beautiful.
think it's got so much meaning in it that the paucity of meaning that's in the modern world because what seems to be on offer is either a kind of mythic religion or superstitious spirituality
Mm,
or reductionist. This is really, we're clever
yeah,
monkeys clinging to a rock, hurtling through space. We're here for 10 minutes and then we're dead.
yeah.
It's like that version, which is not inspiring, is it? But
No,
there's
and
there's there's an
yeah,
alternative to both of those. That's what I would like to give them and go, look,
yeah.
bring that into your life and bring that into the world.
And that benevolence, because a lot of youngsters will be looking around thinking, we've got to pay back our uni fees, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. And some things can look quite bleak. And I think, just to meet people where they are, how would that look like? How can I bring that benevolence into my life?
Again, it's like I completely get that. I see that with my daughter and friends, and but they're living a life that our ancestors couldn't have dreamt of. I couldn't have dreamt of.
Yeah,
She thinks nothing of going out to here and having a coffee. I never went out for a coffee. It's like,
yeah, yeah,
it's like there's and I've got the wisdom of the world in my hand.
yeah, sure.
I can talk with you in another country.
Yeah,
It's like,
incredible.
and
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
just
yeah,
technology. We've changed. There's a level of
yeah.
kindness which is still needs to be a lot bigger, but it's much bigger than it was. To get
Beautiful.
that, it's like the thing I often think of is my father was on D-Day. His father was in the trenches in the First World War. I'm
Yeah,
English. I'm 67. I've never been to war. Every other generation has.
yeah.
It's like to human beings focus on what's bad, and you need to, because you need to
Negativity
make it better.
bias.
You
Yeah,
need to do
yeah.
it,
Sure.
but also focus on what, really home in on appreciation, and
Yeah,
and don't miss that with all of the practical challenges and the money and that you are on the literally the adventure of a lifetime, and to risk it and to live it and to just it's life is
yeah.
something amazing, and if you miss it, then when you get to be 67 you will regret it. But if you don't miss
Absolutely.
it, you'll have this treasure, because you are forming yourself. You are your past, and with every decision you form yourself. So do your best to make wise decisions and to embrace the adventure. Like you're on the hero's journey, as
I was
you said it earlier.
literally just thinking this. You're on the
Follow your
hero's,
bliss.
yeah. Joseph
Follow.
Campbell's
Just
get in there.
yeah,
Yeah,
get
and
in there.
let's do this, live it, just live it and become it. And also that idea that really trust that whoever you are, you can create change. That lovely self-belief. You can do whatever small thing it is, but you have the ability to create change in your own individual hero's journey
Yeah.
that will bring betterment for the world.
And you said it earlier. I want to say it again in a slightly different way, but it's the same thing,
Yeah.
which is, look, this old man has reached the conclusion as best he can that there really is something greater than us. And my current understanding of it is that it's formed through the coalescence of individual souls into something greater.
Yeah.
And it's not running the show. So bad things can happen to anyone at any time. That's the truth.
Yes.
And if you do follow your dreams, probably they won't happen. But in the attempt to make them happen, you will form, and it will be better than you possibly expect that you form.
Beautiful.
And
I
you'll have
love
new
that.
dreams. And that thing which isn't running the show is not inoperative. It's still that grace is real, and it does have your back, even when it can't make it perfect. It's with you. It's loving you. And if you tune into it, there's this huge support through the suffering that will inevitably arise, and the struggles and the feeling lost. That it's an adventure. It won't all go right, because it wouldn't
Wonderful.
be an adventure, would it?
Well, no, it wouldn't be an adventure. It would
And you
just be
wouldn't
like, okay.
evolve.
Yeah.
So it will evolve all of that. But there is something, even when you're most alone, that is with you.
Oh, well, that's gorgeous. I absolutely love that. So I think that's a good point for us to, draw a line and say, thank you so much for being with us. But before you go off, I just want you to just give us a little bit of an insight as to how we can get in touch with you. And yeah, just do a little bit more on your universe, just so we can leave that lovely thought with our listeners.
Yeah, thank you, Paula. So if you're touched by any of this and you want to explore it, the first place to go is my YouTube channel, or you can get most of it also if you prefer from your podcast provider. And there's a whole I've created not a book, but what I call a pod book
Yeah.
called Why Your Life Really Matters. And it's a series of videos like a book. It unfolds chapter by chapter, and it explores in detail what I've been touching on here. And I've done it as a video, so you get me, and so it's
Yeah.
free. You can just have it.
Fantastic.
And there's more there for you as well. Also, so YouTube channel. You can reach me through my website, Tim Freke, funny name, spell it right, you'll get me, because no, it's rare. You can email me
Yeah.
at social media. I run these events. If you're thinking this big love, I'd like to experience it. I'm so confident that you can, because nearly
Love
everyone
that.
does. And we've got one in Glastonbury in October. And I'm
Fabulous.
running one in Costa Rica with a shaman who is also running ayahuasca together.
Right.
We're doing what
Wow.
I do with connection and ayahuasca, and then we'll do 3 ayahuasca sessions, and we'll do all of the meditative and connection work that I do. And the love, I'm sure, will be absolutely phenomenal, and the
And
self
when's that?
discovery. And that's at the end of July, beginning of August in Costa
Right.
Rica. All the
Right.
information on my website, timfreke.com. And then finally, I have an online community, which is
Fantastic.
beautiful, really lovely group of such a diverse group, so
Yeah.
diverse. And we meet every Sunday night. If you can't make it, you get recordings. You can join as a guest, let me know, or you can just sign up. You can come into my through my website. And it's a way, it's like church, but without the,
Yeah.
it's like going every Sunday, we can remember and experience, oh, we want to bring this new way of being human into our lives and into the world. And essentially, and this is the theme which I will take away from our conversation, Paula, is
Yeah.
that above all, that's about love.
Yeah. So true. Oh, thank you so much, Tim. It's been amazing. Totally love talking to you, and I hope we can do it again sometime. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And just before you go, there comes a moment when we realize that we're no longer here simply just to transform our own life, but we really want to help other people transform theirs. And that's where the soul alignment method comes in. It's a teacher training for coaches, therapists, healers, leaders, and change makers who know that they are meant to create deeper impact in the world. This is more than a training, though. It's a powerful journey into the art of transformation itself. We'll have 3 months together that start in 3 immersive days in Glastonbury, followed by 21 days integration experience where you'll learn the complete soul alignment method framework and become a certified teacher to facilitate this profound process with your clients. You learn how to help people break from limiting identities, rebuild self-trust and self-worth, regulate the nervous system, align with purpose and possibility, and create lasting transformation from the inside out. And this truly is where soul meets science, where deep wisdom meets practical methodology, where coaches become catalysts, and where your own next level of leadership begins, because the world doesn't need more information. It needs more people who can help others remember who they truly are. So coming in September and October, we'll be doing certification of the soul alignment method, and we'd love to have you come along. So if you've been waiting for the right next step, this just might be it. The clients you're here to serve are waiting for the version of you who says yes. So come and join us in either September or October. You can join the waiting list for September and be among the first to hear when our applications open for October. So just get in touch, and your transformation, as you know, changed your life. And now let's learn how to guide transformation for others together. I'd love to help you do this. Have a look on my website at paulapluck.com for all the details. Sending lots of love.